Okay, going to try this one final time. I'm very sorry. I don't even know if anyone can hear me, so I don't know why I'm explaining this. Had some issues. Good deal. I can hear myself. Uh, okay. All right. So I do believe that people can now hear the words that I'm trying to say, which is a fundamental tenet of trying to podcast or communicate via video or whatever else. So, yeah, we'll do a real quick solo show here. Always enjoy doing these. Gives a chance to just jump into a couple of quick topics that maybe wouldn't otherwise be able to do on a traditional Nolecast. Also, the players have been out of town. This is kind of their one um, period of time, about 2 weeks or so, that they can really get away from the program. Honestly, during this stretch of news, no news is great news, and knock on wood, that's what it's been for Florida State. So I think the vast majority of the team has reported back to Tallahassee. My understanding is they'll have about a week or so of kind of I guess, an acclimation period, for lack of better words, some optional things that they can choose to participate in, and then right around June 1st, um, they get going, and season starts earlier this year because of the trip to Ireland, and the football team's going to have a pretty regimented schedule because of that. So one thing I do want to point out real quickly, I got this. This is a project that for for full transparency benefits the Battle's End, which I'm a part of. But this is my most recent addition to my office here. It is a signed Peter Work photo. It is number 10 of 50. So I should have ordered that, I don't know, maybe 4 hours earlier or something like that. And I could have gotten number 9 of 50, which, if you get the Peter Work reference there, would have been great. But I'll put a link in the show notes there. We have those available for both Peter Work and a more recent uh, option in a Jared Verse signature. Includes very nice framed look and a piece of a brick from Doak Campbell Stadium. So I've got mine here, going to add it to the office wall, and look forward to doing that and causing as little marital strife as I can in the massive amount of Florida State stuff that I've ordered over the past couple of weeks. Yeah. So we'll jump into it. I realize Bud's doing cover 3 right now. Like, that's not a problem. Things don't have to be viewed live or whatever else. But I did have a little break in my schedule and wanted to try to get something in before I jumped on the road to Tallahassee. So I've been waiting. And if you guys want to put questions um, in the chat, I'll do everything I can to get to them. I'd been waiting a day or two because I did hear that there would be, some kind of word on this house settlement. So real quickly, people hear house, House, and sometimes they think that this has to do with like the federal government. Um, Grant House was a swimmer at back in Arizona State, I believe, back in the day. That is where the title of this lawsuit. There's a bunch of other athletes involved in it, but as lawsuits tend to, or cases rather, tend to do, the first name on it tends to become, Brown versus Board Education, Plessy versus, for all sorts of different examples in the past that we can look at. House is Okay, so House is a very interesting lawsuit that has to do with back pay of NIL going back to 2016. I'm not going to try to do a whole chapter and verse here. I will just tell you that this case has been monitored, watched, and at some point kind of um, waited on by people up and down the spectrum of college athletics. I talked to two different people earlier in the week from SEC schools. One of them is in athletic department. One of them is a um, president, CEO, whatever title you want to give to their collective. And I think exceptionally highly of both of them. And both of them told me that they're basically just waiting until they saw what played out of house and what the ramifications of that were going to be. I will say that yes, this is a very important case in the ACC and the Big 12. I think we're the first two to kind of officially sign off on the structure of back pay of NIL. But there's also added components of this as to if future athletes are going to opt into this. There's another case outstanding of Fontenot versus the NCAA, which I believe has already been declared that they're not going to opt into the House settlement. So my whole point of this is a like this is if your strategy on stuff like this is to just not pay attention to it until it matters, I would say that the House settlement, you can start paying attention to it. It matters. It's incredibly influential. But there are going to be a bunch of other ancillary things that kind of stem off of this and decide, ultimately how impactful this stuff is. So the House settlement is a massive one. It's what I think it's $2.7 billion in back pay, going back to 2016. Um, it is going to, in my opinion, lead the way to some kind of formal rev share of whether that be TV money or whether that just be a weighted average as to a program or athletic department's revenue. So what I've always said in all of this is that college football is going to be fine. College football is going to continue to um, operate. I do have concerns as to what the ramifications for other sports, as an example, what it would mean to swimming and some of these other sports out there. So House is continuing to play out. Interesting that the Big 12 and the ACC have gone ahead and my understanding has gone ahead and started the initial implementation of kind of how that lays out what it means. And yeah, it'll mean that there's a need for private equity money or other sources of revenue for a lot of schools if they're going to continue to try to do this. That's a whole nother conversation, and obviously the news about Drew Rutherford and uh, Redbird broke today that they've started their own kind of college consulting arm, and yeah, we'll see. We'll just let all that stuff play out and adjust to it accordingly. But House is certainly something that I would have on your radar and just be moderately familiar with. This is one of the most important pieces of legislation that has been out there when it comes to college athletics in quite a while. Chad, I appreciate. I think I had to buy a new computer recently, and something transpired when I first tried to do this about 10 minutes ago where there wasn't any sound. Chad, I saw you in that chat, and I see you in this one, ever loyal and great supporter of the Nolecast. Thank you much, my man. Chad, the driving force behind the team at Legendary Home Loans, 844 FSU Loan, 844 FSU Loan. Proud of the relationship that we have had and the length of relationship that we've had with Chad and his team. And Chad, I'll reach out to you after the show. I want to make sure that you'd gotten some information that I'd shared with you a couple weeks ago. Okay, so this is where I do enjoy doing solo shows where I can just kind of talk about things that maybe we wouldn't have gotten to otherwise on a Nolecast. And like I said, this is the period of time in the calendar, the next 6 weeks that is not always going to be 45 minutes of jam-packed football content. Do want to shout out a couple of other programs and activities. Lottie Wood, the female golfer who had the great showing at Augusta a couple months ago, was the first runner-up nationally. Obviously, there are some fantastic women's sports programs at Florida State. Immediately comes to mind the softball program and the honestly, one of the better jobs that probably Lonnie's ever done this year, managing that roster. And, they're off to Norman, Oklahoma, which has its own set of challenges, but the softball program's exceptional. The soccer program is legitimately one of the dynasties of sports right now, with the rate at which they're racking up national championships. Um, and I don't mean this in any disrespect, but I think sometimes Amy Bond and the great job that the women's the women's golf program does flies under the radar. So wanted to mention Lottie Wood showing James Tibbs ACC Player of the Year. It's been a fantastic year and a great response for the baseball program, and the incredible job that Link and his staff have done. But great to see Tibbs get that award. And Florida State baseball beat Georgia Tech yesterday as they're going about the ACC tournament, and we will keep an eye on them. One piece of information that came out last week is the NFL schedule. And obviously, the NFL schedule is not something that we tend to spend a ton of time on the Nolecast talking about, but something that caught my eye, and I'll look forward to talking to Bud about this when he gets back, is so on December 21st, the NFL is going to have a 3-game slate. Now, that is Saturday, December 21st. And that is also the college that will go up against the college football playoffs. And it's not uncommon that college football and the NFL kind of clash during that run. And during that run, what I mean is Saturdays in December, the NFL, broadens its schedule to Saturdays and Sundays. And, the NFL is the rankings behemoth, and they tend to, outdraw almost everything that college football does, playoff games included. The wrinkle here is that traditionally, when they've done these triple headers in December, is that they've been on the NFL Network, and the NFL Network does not draw nearly as well as games that are on network television. So the NFL actually gave a extra game to NBC, and 2 of those 3 games on Saturday, December 21st, will be NBC games. Those will do incredibly good numbers. And I understand that the NFL, wants to be the giant in the room, and always wants to win the, metaphorical measuring contest. But I would I would say that the NFL enjoys an incredible feeder system, and most importantly, four letters are associated with it, and those 4 letters are FREE. Like, Major League Baseball supporting minor league baseball there's a ton of money that goes into that is never really seen. Similar to developmental leagues in basketball and other sports. I would argue that college football may be the best form of preparation for its sport that exists in all of global sports. I mean, the level of competition in college sports and the atmosphere that surrounds it, I would only compare with, like, the second division of maybe the English soccer league, and maybe Bundesliga 2, the second division of the German soccer. I mean, there's not too many minor leagues that you have 88,000 people in a stadium and incredibly high levels of competition, passion, and everything else. My whole point here is I understand I understand the NFL always wants to be able to win the marketing game, and always wants to be able to charge the highest rates possible for commercials and other commercial opportunities surrounding its game. But I would be careful. You have what is a free minor league feeder system that is as good as anything that there is out there. Not that one single NFL game on a Saturday in December on NBC is going to all of a sudden, stop the growth of college football or whatever else. But um, I don't know that those 2 entities necessarily have to be competitors of each other. So just something to keep in mind. And like I said, when you're talking about Florida State athletics and Florida State football in May, there's some windows of time where you can be a little bit abstract with things, and that is something that just caught my attention. Look, we're all living in a transitioning world when it comes to college athletics and the evolution of it, and this will be the first time we've ever seen an expanded playoff. As consumers, we all win. We're going to have 3 NFL games on that Saturday that I referenced, the 21st. We're also going to have 3 college football playoff games, and I believe we're going to have a Friday night playoff game as well. So we're going to be, rich for options and rich for choice. But just something that kind of caught my mind or caught my eye, particularly the fact that this wasn't going to be an NFL Network addition to the schedule, but was going to be an NBC. Um, so yeah, Optimus Climb chimes in. They just like the idea of NFL playoff games being played before and leading into the primetime college football playoff games. Yeah, I do. I love that. But if you're going to have 3 that day, then yeah, you're probably going to have a noon or a 1 o'clock college football kickoff, a 4 or 4:30 kick, and then probably a 7:30 or 8. So, those will be in direct competition to an NFL game. Um, pretty much each and every minute that they're aired, they will be. So, another thing that I had on my list here is one I want to thank the good people at Congruity. Matt Lewis is somebody that I have worked with for a long time and have always gone out of my way to try to work with him at whatever stop along the professional way that I may be. I wanted to share a note that I had from my good friend Jonathan Breimer, who is a wonderful supporter of Florida State athletics on multiple fronts. But he texted me little congruity anecdote from today. I was talking with Janica, who handles our payroll and HR. She had a scenario involving child support complication with payroll that she was unsure how to handle. Ended up contacting a member of Matt Lewis's team for assistance, and they knew immediately the best practice for the scenario and served the best interest of our employee, the government, and Select Shades, Jonathan's company. Outstanding expertise from a great partner in Congruity. So, like I said, I've been fortunate to work with Matt and the team at Congruity at multiple stops and would wholeheartedly recommend them in any capacity, whether it be HR, payroll, or any of the other forms that they serve to optimize your business. Okay, so something that I did want to talk about, and I don't want to be a killjoy or anything else, but I wanted to talk about the upcoming video game, the college football video game that we've certainly seen a lot of promotion tied to, and a lot of excitement around. And look, I will buy this video game. I will play this video game if I have to get a updated console to do so. I don't think I've bought a console in probably a decade or so, so probably time to do that if that's something that I'm going to continue to do. But um, okay, so the college football video game hasn't been out since what 13 or 14, something like that. So it's been 10 years. So I'm going to talk to this uh community, particularly about this video game, as though maybe you haven't played a video game in 10 years. All I want to say is that you know things have changed a lot in that industry, in that landscape since the last NCAA game was available. And I want to particularly talk about like microtransactions and what has happened with video games and the evolution of them. I look forward to this game. I look forward to seeing and hearing the war chant. I look forward to seeing, you've seen some of the side by sides maybe on social media of, what this looked like in this particular stadium 10 years ago, and, what this screen capture from the game that we're about to have in 2 months or so looks like. And obviously things have been updated and look a hell of a lot better. And, I imagine the game will be fun to play. I'll be interesting to see how much of just like a reskin it is of Madden, as Madden has had its own challenges and complications along the way. But look, college football video games are awesome. And if you're like me, one of the favorite things that I did in that game is I would start, I'd go into dynasty mode and I'd start, I'd start various random schools all over the place. Started a school in Connecticut one time and won 10 national championships, and played with the small college that I went to in Virginia, and turned that into a powerhouse. And that was a lot of fun. But there is going to be what's known as a ultimate team version of this game. An ultimate team is, whether it be Madden or FIFA or whatever else, it's a game of microtransactions. It is a pay to win platform. It absolutely is. Now I'll be interested to see how they design that in this particular game. And if you're literally paying for recruits in the video game version of football, or how they go about doing this. But these games are now totally designed to spill you into the ultimate team version of the game. Like I'm a big soccer fan, and I mentioned that, and I play what's known as career mode every once in a while in the what it previously had been known as the FIFA franchise. It's now EAFC after either losing their license or disassociating with FIFA or whatever happened there. But that game mode has literally not changed in 9 years. I mean, it is the same. It is more or less a copy and paste of what career mode would have been in FIFA 14 or FIFA 15 or something like that. Every ounce of FIFA, the video game, has been poured into driving you into Madden or driving you into Ultimate Team. I imagine that this college football game is going to be very similar. And yes, they're called microtransactions, but like this is massive amounts of money. As a point of reference, EA, all the video games they do, in 2021, it was estimated that 25% of their net revenue was generated from the FIFA Ultimate Team franchise. Like these are microtransactions that cost $100 at a time. I only mention this so, like, if you're somebody who maybe the last time you played this game you were 26, and now you're 36 with a 8-year-old kid or whatever else, just be aware of it. There's all sorts of horror stories of people having a credit card down on a video game, or some grandmother in Newcastle, England, gives her credit card to her grandson, and 21,000 pounds later, 2 months transpire, and she has to face the music that somehow her grandson ran up $21,000 worth of microtransactions on a video game or whatever else. College football is going to be fun. It's going to be great to see the game return. It's great to see that these kids are now legitimately getting paid for their involvement in the video game, and that in many ways, the Ed O'Bannon case, stemming from 20 years ago or whatever, has led to a lot of what I would argue is needed progress when it comes to imaging and compensation of college athletes for their imaging. But just something to keep in mind. I look forward to the game. I look forward to playing it. I look forward to starting a dynasty mode with honestly, it's just too easy to start with a school like Florida State. You're going to be the best team in college football in a couple of years. So I look forward to starting some bizarre program and going through the climb that is the dynasty mode in this college football game. But, just again, video games have changed. It's going to be an aggressive attempt to get into your wallet, and just something to keep in mind. So, yeah, that's really all that I had today as far as stuff that I like immediately wanted to talk about. I'm going to go back through the chat. If you guys have any questions or anything, fire away. But this is really just kind of a quick hitter to catch up on things and get a Nolecast out there, and yeah, we'll go from there. So a lot of talk about like the Gator Collective and the Rashada situation. I don't really, we'll just let that play out. There's a lawsuit now that will take its own course, and however that plays out, it does. So I'm not really going to talk a whole lot about that. Also had a couple different questions about like what guys do in their time off. Yeah, just a lot of like legitimately, this is a chance for 18, 19, 20 year olds to be 18, 19, or 20 year olds for, 2 weeks or so. Most of them go home. Most of them go back to, their neighborhoods, and just it's the only time I've ever heard Mike Norvell really encourage a kid to, um, not do nothing. I don't think he wants people to go back and, you know, uh, do the old Greg Jones Subway diet for 17 days or whatever. That's a reference, definitely dating myself there, but if you're familiar with the reference and you get it. Um, but this is these kids' chance. This, like, my involvement in the Battle's End, and a little bit closer touch points with some aspects of the program, is the biggest thing that stands out to me is how little time these kids really get, whether it be during the week, whether it be off season, out of season, whatever. What we just went through the last 2 weeks or so is really their only time away from the program, and certainly hope that those kids enjoyed it in whatever capacity they could as they come back to campus, and as you make your way back to Tallahassee, or if you live in Tallahassee, always want to remind you of our wonderful friends at the For the Table Restaurant Group. Matt and his team, so influential in just kind of supporting the experience it is being a Florida State athletics fan. I know they were, adversely impacted significantly by the, tornadoes that ran through Tallahassee a couple weeks ago. But I think everything is now back up and running. Matt, always been a great source of support for the Nolecast, and always want to thank you for all that you've done for us over the years. So, um, yeah, y'all, if there's any questions in the chat, fire away. Otherwise, Bud and I will probably be back, sometime next week to talk about kind of what it looks like as kids enter into, this kind of beginning phase of preparation for the season. Um, I will say that with the end of graduate transfers and other things out there that, absent something totally unexpected, I do believe that the roster that you have here on May 22nd will, more or less be the roster that you take to Dublin. I think that's, we obviously the transfer window is closed, but there was still a decent amount of people out there in the window. But to me, it looks like this roster is set, and we'll monitor as to what the impact on Florida State pushing back against the NCAA. There's some what is of immediate interest and perhaps impact to the program there. The scholarship counts, how that changes things. I mean, Florida State will be fine one way or another, I have a feeling, but that is that is something that you had to work around. And also there were some, very real visit limitations that were tied to that, those series of, infractions or whatever that Florida State um, lived by, and kind of had already served some of the more, tangible things when it comes to being involved in the portal, and some other aspects of that. So if it's totally dismissed, that would be great. But I would also point out that there are some very real things that Florida State had lived by or adjusted to, as were part of the NCAA's findings on that. So if that is ultimately dismissed, or whatever the proper term is, that's great for Coach Atkins. That'll be good for scholarship counts, and we can go back and look at anything else that was truly tied into that. So thank you guys for all your time. Would encourage you to look at joining the Battle's End if that's not something that you're doing currently. Every level of support means an awful lot and is incredibly impactful to what we're trying to do, and trying to support Florida State athletics in as best and appropriate a manner as we can in this new and modern era of college athletics. So Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. This has been fun. Go click over to Bud on cover 3 and look forward to talking to you soon. Till then, this has been the Nullcast.